Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and this is your Photo News Fix. This fix is brought to you by Squarespace. As I've said a billion times before, I've been using Squarespace for my personal photo website at jaredpolin.com for 15 years now because it's simple, easy, and I don't need to know coding. Now remember when I discovered that no one owned the
mountalliance.com?
Well, as soon as I found that out, I went on to Squarespace, searched for the .com. It was available, I bought it, and within minutes had a simple, easy, and affordable Squarespace website out into the real world at mountalliance.com. No coding, no BS, it just works. Oh yeah, and I got my first year of the domain free when I signed up for Squarespace. To get your 14-day free trial, head on over to squarespace.com/FroKnowsPhoto. If you decide that it's for you, use the code FroKnowsPhoto at checkout to get 10% off your first order. First up, rocket launch photographers are pissed at the United Launch Alliance's new remote camera setup agreement. Now, for those who might not follow the space launch industry, ULA is a privately owned company that launches payloads into space. Now, there's a ton of photographers who apply and get approved to photograph their space launches
from a distance,
but also via remote cameras set up much closer to the launch site. Well, the ULA has issued a new agreement for photographers to sign, and they are pissed. The photographer's biggest gripe comes from this line. By placing cameras on the ULA property, you agree that the photos are for editorial purposes, and editorial publication includes news outlets, print, broadcast, or industry websites, and excludes personal blogs and personal social media. Now, this isn't the first time we've seen an agreement like this, because we've also seen it in the music industry, and guess what? I agree with them for the most part. Now, I agree with the ULA saying for editorial purposes only and not for personal social media. Now, this has some photographers up in arms because if they sign this agreement, they won't be able to personally sell the images for non-editorial purposes to make any money.
Oh, I like money.
Now, my take is if you're shooting for a publication and you're getting granted access to cover a launch for that publication, then the images should be only used for that publication, and that publication should be paying you for your time. Now, I know not every photographer is working for a publication and might be freelancing and makes money when they sell their own stuff, but here's what these freelance photographers need to do, and I talk in much more detail about this on Raw Talk 112, which is currently out. They need to start their own publication, like a Squarespace website. Not just to plug it, but yeah, like a Squarespace website. That way, you're free to share the images any way you see fit.
It's very clever.
And if your concern is selling them to make some money, then offer memberships to your website or ways for fans to support your page. And for doing so, they get to pick, I don't know, maybe a print, or maybe they can pick a calendar from your store as a thank you gift.
Always be closing.
Yeah. You have to start thinking like a business and find solutions to problems you may face.
Always be closing.
Again, check out Raw Talk 112 for more about this story. I did that with FroKnowsPhoto.com. I got access to things because I started my own thing, and look at me now. I'm so cool.
Right.
Next up, it looks like Sony and the NFL have entered into a technology partnership. Sony is now the official technology partner of the NFL, as well as the new official choice for headphones. Meaning when a coach gets pissed off, they will be throwing, kicking, snapping, or slamming a Sony headset. Well, speaking of headsets, Sony and the coaches will work together to debut a new headset in 2025. On top of that, Sony's Hawkeye tracking will be put to use in getting more accurate measurements and data, including the possibility of replacing the need for measurements to be done with a chain to determine a first down or not.
first down.
Since 2020, the Associated Press has used only Sony cameras to capture NFL games. CBS Sports, ESPN, Fox Sports, and NBC Sports all have used Sony cameras to broadcast games, including the Super Bowl. Wow, this sounds like a major puff piece. I wonder how much Sony had to pay the NFL to be the technology partner of the NFL. Regardless, new tech in sports is always welcomed, especially when it enhances the viewer's enjoyment,
Wants to run it in, wow!
and leads to hopefully me getting a pass to shoot some NFL games with Sony cameras this year. Did you hear that, Sony? Help me get a pass, and maybe I'll use your cameras on the sidelines. Yeah, I mean, I will use your cameras on the sidelines. That right there is worth at least tens of pennies. Now, how much do you think Sony paid the NFL? Let me know down below. And finally, hot off the heels of the R1 and R5 Mark II announcements, Canon Rumors is hitting us with some early specs for a camera they say is basically ready to go, the Canon R6 Mark III. For personal experience, I will say that the R6 was a really good camera. It sported the same sensor as the flagship 1DX Mark III, and the R6 Mark II brought some really nice advancements. Well, now if Canon Rumors is correct, the R6 Mark III will sport a 24 megapixel stacked sensor that might be related to the R3, offer a mechanical and electronic shutter, which if it has an R3 sensor, I would do away with the shutter and save some money. Now, they didn't mention how many frames per second it can shoot, but the R6 Mark II can shoot 40 frames per second with the electronic shutter, but the R3 topped out at 30. So if it's an R3 sensor, will they go backwards or will they update it to allow you to do 40? They go on to say that it will have improved Digic X, but not include a Digic accelerator, because if they did that, it would probably be better than the R1. What? Oh shit, what's that sound? Oh man, that's the money truck backing away. Phone call. Wonder how that be. Sony, oh, you want to send a money truck? By all means, send a money truck. Ah, that's a good sound. Canon Rumors says there will be a CF Express and SD card slot, 4K 120, same EVF as the R5, improved IBIS, be slightly heavier, though you will not notice it, and that's about it for now. Could you imagine an R6 Mark III that outshines the R3 in some ways? Now that would be kind of insane, though it won't actually outshine it in body design, but possibly in new tech. If these specs are real, this will be another hot seller for Canon. There you have it. That's your photo news fix this time around. Thank you very much for watching. Jared Polin, Photos Photo.com. See ya.